Okay, so we're back here. So last video we toyed around and got our parent object set up. It's working, so that way we got a field here. However, we have no packet handling for this, along with other things. So this video we're going to focus a little bit more on packet handling as well, bug fixing in general. We may hit up on fixing this, how the button looks like it's disabled and everything else by just changing the blend function and a few other different things. After all, with these buttons not being see-through, we might as well just turn blending off on them altogether. But we'll hit that up here in a second. First things first, let's get our packet handling set up. So our packet handling is of course handled in our packet object, although this is not the most ideal way to do it. Realistically, you would have some kind of static class that you'd be calling for this, and you'd leave your packet class alone. But it works. I mean, we can't really complain. So what we need to do is we need to create a couple more packet objects here. So we want to do public static int add node to group. This would be our packet 10, and we'll do the remove node. There we go. That way we can identify what packet it is without having to look up at the number. We just simply have to then set our stuff to send and receive. So this is our remove node. So this will remove node to group. That needs to be renamed. We'll handle this in a second. And this needs to be remove node from group. The reason we're doing this is eventually when we go to add the ability to add and remove nodes to the actual users themselves, we would want some differentiation between these method calls. We don't really need them for remove group because remove group is going to be pretty unique, that it's not going to be recycled. Okay, now we just need to make sure our data is being written at the correct orders. And then duplicate this down here because basically these two are identical to each other when it comes to the read-write behavior. It's the logic at the server side that changes. So for this, we're going to want to make basically a couple more of these. Yeah, not a lot to this. Remove node. So that's add node and remove. Okay. Then we want to read in a whole bunch of data here. Basically, we're sending 3 strings. We need to read 3 strings. So profile, group ID, and this would be our node. And we repeat this down here. So for our add call, we do need to make sure we get the profile. Then, yeah, we need to just grab all this code right here and just copy it down. Okay. So we need to make sure that we have the ability to do certain things, and this one's going to be group permission add is what we're going to check for our ID on this one. And then if we duplicate this down below, it's the same thing, but instead we're going to check to see if we can remove a permission. Okay, there we go. So our basics are set up. We know we have a group. We probably should be tossing some error handling down. Yeah. Let's make sure we grab all this. Yeah, I probably should make some prefabs for this down the road because this is getting out of hand with how much we need in order to just get basic functionality rolling. Okay, we messed something up here. This needs to be returned true, I believe. Oh, well, snap. Okay, we messed the hierarchy up at some point here. Yeah. Okay. So we need to delete this. And do the same thing here. And then we just gotta fix our hierarchy because we basically messed it up. There we go. There is no return apparently. Wow, IntelliJ killed our imports because it's like, hey, you're not using that. Let's go ahead and remove that. And you would think it wouldn't try to optimize imports in the middle of everything else not compiling, but that's IntelliJ for you. Okay, so we got group not found, we've got profile access invalid, and we've got profile not found. So we got our error codes properly. And by the way, what you saw happen, that's an example of why you're not supposed to copy and paste, but I do it just to save time typing. Okay, so when we add it, we need to check to go, okay, if group dot has exact node, because we don't want to duplicate nodes if they're already in there. And then we just go group add node, because there's not a lot of special handling for this. You can add by permission, but it stores everything as a string node because it's the most easiest to load and save from the server. And then we'll go ahead and we'll do our error handling here. We'll go error. So we'll go error node dot exists. And we're gonna copy this and we're gonna bring this down here. Instead of add, we're gonna go okay has exact, and then we're gonna go remove node. And we're going to return, and it's going to do that, and we're going to go node not found, pretty much. So our handling's set up, everything's set up for that. And what else we need left to do? So, okay, let's work our way through here. So we got keep alive packets handled. We got our request all, request profile, add user to group, remove user from group, create profile. We are missing update profile. Or ID equals group update group parent. So that's one of the things we're missing right now. Okay, and what are we encoding into that? So if we update group parent, we're encoding 3 strings, so we're going to need to read 3 strings as well. And let's just go ahead and copy this entire section and just bring it down here. We just need to scrap the user section, which is this whole piece here. So we got our group not found, our invalid, and our profile not found, which is what we need. And this is going to be parent ID. So what we need to make sure is that profile so we need to make sure we have that parent group. And then we also need to make sure there's a thing here. Okay, we're accessing the wrong thing. Okay, so we need to do it this way, and this is going to be access group parent group equals that. We need to do a circular dependency check. So we need to make sure that it's a little hard to explain. So one, we need to make sure we have a parent. The second thing we need to make sure is that the parent of the parent of the parent and so on is not our group object, because you don't want to have a circular group dependency in which your first object extends your second extends your third extends your first, so that way you have this constant infinite loop, because it will crash the server if it happens. And it may be one of those kind of crashes that somebody has to go edit the save files to fix. Although I might add handling for it later that'll just delete all the group hierarchies if it happens. Or it'll delete the lowest version it finds or something. It'll work. That's all I know. So I'm going to go error group not found. So that'll work. Actually, we'll change it so that way it's a little bit more detailed. And this needs to be parent ID, not profile ID. And then we need to go I'm actually going to handle this in the system here. So I'm going to go parent group dot set set to extend, and this actually needs to be group. And what we'll do is we'll go in here, and we're going to go Boolean. And we're going to return true. And then what we're going to do, it's actually supposed to catch the group too. This.extend group. Oh yeah, it's already done that way. So what we want to go is extend group doesn't equal null. We want to ensure that our parent object doesn't equal this. So we need a recursive method for this. Void is parent. Has to be access group. So I'm gonna go Boolean. Return false. I'm gonna go okay if group doesn't equal null. I'm gonna go okay is parent. And how to handle this precisely. So I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to go if group.get extend group doesn't equal null, and group.get extend group equals this. Return true. Your else statement would be return actually, we want to do this a little differently here. Because if it doesn't have a parent group, we don't need to continue to check it. We just want to go and this will return true. Actually, no, wait, we don't even do that. We need to do this. Then we need to go or is parent group.get extend group. That should work because that's a recursive method call. At some point, it's going to return true that this is its parent. If it's circular, it's going to return a circular system. We do need to make a graph system here later. For those of you not familiar with the graph, let me just pull up Paint here. A graph essentially is wow, that's a too small of a dot. We have boxes, more boxes, more boxes, more boxes, which these would be our groups, and then you would have lines that would connect them to connect to our different groups and stuff. And say we had something like this, which was our hierarchy. This would be a graph because we know where everything is in relation to each other. With a graph, I can detect for circulars by simply checking the flow of order between these. Luckily, we only have one parent hierarchy, so we're looking for pretty much would be a flow like that. Just do like one arrow for this stuff. So we'd be looking for pretty much a circular flow where it would flow this way, and say this one extended that way. So if we detected this, we would know a circular system existed, and we would have to break off, like say this line, for example. We'd just delete that line and it would be gone. So go ahead and don't save. And that's something we can do to ensure error checking. Right now, this will prevent that from happening because it'll make sure that you can't extend a group that you're already extending. And we'll... Okay, so this will return something. This will return false. This will return true. And then we'll just go, okay, if we're good to go, then we'll send a packet to the client like, hey, actually, we need to start actually getting in the habit of doing this. So we need to go, instead of error, we'll go group.parent.set, and we'll send that to the client, and then we'll go else, and our else statement will just be like error. So go error group Uh, what are we using for errors currently? Send client, error group, user remove, error parent set. And we're going to actually make an if check for this. So what we would do is we're going to go if group dot is. We need to make that a public method. So we'll go error group parent set recur. Actually, it would be set recursive. So we would have some kind of translation say, hey, this. It would go could not set because your thing is recursively setting, and we do that. That'll work. So we can set our group parent so that we just have to call the methods now. We can do our nodes. We need to start sending packets to the client more often. You know what I actually need to do? I need to break this out to a method. So protected void send send message to client. Because this is what these actually are. So it'd be string message. And then we need the player, of course. So here's our message. And just to prevent null point exceptions, you do that real quick. And yeah, we got our player. So what we would change this to is we would go, okay, hey, send message to client, and then you pass in player. And we're actually going to do this real quick, and we'll just cast it here. That way I can save myself a little bit of time. So this will reduce a large amount of this CRUD we have. And then when we go and change our system to change this from rendering a single thing to actually keeping track of an action log, then we can change this to append to the action log and then send the updated action log to the client. Because then with the action log we go, okay, error updating something, and that way the action log will carry over the errors, and you can see what's been happening over the period of time and variety of other things, and et cetera, et cetera. And, most of these errors will probably not be saved to disk, so they'll just be runtime, and then they'll disappear as soon as you save the game. That way your logs are not being saved, cached with a whole bunch of problems like this. Although most of these errors are only going to pop up if something weird happened. Like I hit, say for example, I hit add user to group while somebody at the same time hit delete user, and the delete user or delete group made it to the server before the add user made it to the server. Then you get an error group not found because somebody deleted that group. A lot of these we may only do as client-side errors too, because, well, the only person that needs to see these errors are the person doing the actions. The only time we would actually log some more serious errors is when we actually are trying to track people abusing the system and trying to cheat, is when we would want to start logging those to the active memory, so that somebody who owns the group can see when somebody's trying to exploit the system and get around any of the security that we have on this. Which I guess we're going to have to implement a security manager at some point in time, which is designed to prevent people from messing with your code. It's only going to act as a deterrent because the reality of it is you can bypass them. I've bypassed them before, so I know that it can be done. Okay, that cut down quite a bit of code there. So yeah, good. Now we just need to implement a few different things. It looks like we do actually have a crate group packet here. So let's go ahead and add the handling for that as well while we're in here. Remove, and there's update, so we'll put it right above here. So we'll go else if ID equals crate group. Let me make sure we don't already have handling for this, and I may have already coded it, so we'll go Control B. And yeah, we're only using it in 2 spots, we don't have handling for it. So crate group is going to be, I believe, all 3 of these is what we need. Yep. Profile, name, parent. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to need basically the whole set here again. I'm probably going to start caching some of these errors. So these common errors right down here where you're seeing them right this, these are probably going to get cached at some point because we're repeatedly using them in multiple places and we don't want to keep recreating that string over and over again as we use it. And especially since these are just translation keys. But at the same time, we also want to cache them in case we decide to come down here and change these and maybe make more detailed error handling and everything. We don't want to have it set in 15 different places and have to edit it in 15 different places. Okay, so we got our profile. We need to change our axis thing, so this will be group. This will be profile, maybe? Is there not a group system for this? There you go, profile add group. And let me make sure there's a profile remove group. Yeah, there's a profile remove group and there's a profile modify group. So that's good. We'll get our group, we'll get our parent group. Okay, we're not going to actually have a group here, so we're creating a group right now. We do need to still make sure we have some. So what we want to do is we're going to go, okay, new access group, and then we want to set the group ID. We also want to go and go profile dot get group ID equals null. And we will go group exists. So this is a group add error. This will be parent set error. We can reuse these ones. Group parent not found. What we're going to do here is we'll go ahead and add the group. So we'll go profile dot add group. So the group will already be added, and then what we'll do is we'll handle the parent separately. So there's a boolean for this. I kind of need to set that up so it works, but I'll do that later. What I need to do is I need to come down here and make sure we actually change this stuff. So this will be group settings. Let's kind of scroll down here and make sure we didn't mess up anything else. So we got permission add, good. There's no permission needed for profile because you own the profile when you make it. Permissions not remove, okay, we're good there. I just consider something. So I just had this thought that if I sent a packet at the right time before the world finished loading on the server, I could, in theory, override somebody's profile. So I need to actually go ahead and check if the world's loaded at some point to make sure that you can't do that. The reality is that you can't be logged in to a server. So if you were sending a packet here, you would be really faking out the server really hard, which is something you can do, but it's really, really difficult to do. There's a few other things we need to do. Like I need to do can view checks in here to do that. And I need to send a packet to the client to close the GUI if you can no longer view a profile. I think we're good though. Now we just have to go and update a few things. So we don't need the access group. We don't need the label. We don't need that. Let's see what we want this here. So we want action performed. Probably should make this a Boolean system, but I think there's a reason why I can't make it Boolean. Actually, I don't know why my brain just told me to do that. This is super the action perform button, and then here we are going for button 2 for some reason. I could actually just do 1 on that. So button ID equals 1, and then what we're going to do with this is we're going to go packet access GUI dot update group parent. And then how do we get the profile? Actually, I think it's get host. Yeah, we can just go get host, get current profile dot get ID. And then we need the group, which we should have. We don't have a group ID, I think. No, we do. It's in the parent. And then we want node filled get text. And then we want to make sure we add some text to there. Actually, do we do that already? No, we do not. Okay. So we want to make sure we do that so we don't accidentally get null. And we want to do this current profile. Okay. That way we don't crash. Else we want to go, okay, get host dot error message equals and error profile active null. Okay. And that's pretty good. We do a few other things like that too. We can go like the current group is null as well. It says we have a line here we need to fix. Now let's go ahead and oh yeah, we're still running Minecraft. Explains on my computer sitting here revving up next to me. I do need to get a better machine. I let somebody talk me into a while back that these AMD cores were actually pretty good, and I believe them. I mean, they do floating point math really well. They're pretty cheap. I didn't have to pay much for them. But the reality of it is they are underperforming, and it's starting to become more and more obvious the more I start using it. And it's not AMD's fault, it's the fact I bought a weak AMD chip. But with this thing generating as much heat as it is for a weak AMD chip, I'm like, I'm going back to Intel. Especially since Intel dropped the prices on all their chips recently. So next computer I'm going to get an Intel, and I'm probably just going to recycle the case and everything. So what I'll do is I'll probably just take the board out. I'll put the board into an older case. Actually, I'll probably just use this my brother's case over here, which is identical to mine. His computer's currently, or his primary board, which is identical to mine, broke. The chip's still probably good, but we have no other board to stick it in. And I don't really feel like buying a board to figure out if the chip is good. And I definitely don't feel like cannibalizing my computer to figure out if the chip's good. Plus we get down to the idea, like, what would I do if the chip was good anyways? Pretty much what I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to take it out of that board at some point, stick it into a plastic container, and forget about it until I need it again. And I'll just keep it around for a backup for this current computer I have. Usually the boards fail before the chips, though, from what I've seen. But yeah, need to get an Intel computer at some point. Just because the i7s on them do outperform AMDs on average. Unless you buy some of the really expensive AMDs, which at that point you could just buy the more expensive Intel. It's one of those like races where AMD's not really winning well. Although I hear their new chip's pretty good, but I'm going to give it a year before I ever consider trying it. Right now the only thing I care is I got a computer that functions. And I'll deal with the fact that it overheats. And we're on speaker. Haha. Okay, so hostile group doesn't have anything. User group. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this extend friendly. So if I can spell that, I'm not going to lie, my spelling is pretty bad. Cool, it's set. Although our text box cleared. We need to resync to the client. Okay. We still haven't implemented our auto update system to update the client every few minutes. That's something that does need to still be handled. But we do need to make sure that we're resending. So we want to send profile to client. Not send profile. Send profile. No. Goddamn system. Yeah, I'm gonna do real quick. Where's my player at? You're now E, and then we're gonna go down here. We're gonna go E, and then we're gonna go entity player MP player equals E. That way I can stop worrying about that. Okay, so we go ahead and we'll send profile downrange. So we update that. If we add a node to a group, we want to send the profile downrange. And then if we create a group, which is up here somewhere, we want to do the same thing, except we're going to wait until after this runs, and then we'll do that. Okay, so if we actually... let's test to see if the error system works. Error, yes, parent not found. And then we're going to make it extend itself. Oh, we crashed. Oh. What? That's an unrelated crash, apparently. This is what we just did. Okay, so... we forgot to do that. That's cool, though. That's funny. It's rare I get those kind of bugs. I love them. I love the infinite loop bugs. Because when you get them, actually the most stupidest one I've ever had is a client and server were sending packets to each other, and every time a packet is sent to the client would send a packet to the server. Every time the server received a packet sent to the client, it kept going back and forth, and it snowballed until you got to the point we were almost trying to send a gigabyte through the line. It physically couldn't do it, and my internet turned off. Okay, so let's try this again. It let me set that. Okay. So we get false on that. So if group does not equal null and group does not equal this, this is wrong. Group equals this, return true. Okay, I do need to also fix another thing here. We have no way to set group. We have no way to set the profile to null. So update group parents. Okay, so what we want to do is if group ID equals space. So if it's empty object. And that's actually the wrong spot. Where's this here? We get parent ID dot trim. So we get rid of extra spaces on top of that. Then what we want to do is pretty much set our parent group to null. So we're going to go group dot set parent. Set to extend null. And then we go else. So there we go. That'll allow us to empty that because we're about to have an infinite loop here if we don't fix this. So set. Okay, so we borked something. So what I want to do is, as soon as I unfocus that, you saw it reset, and there we go, that fixes it. Because I was trying to get the group to reset, and it wasn't resetting because, well, as soon as I took my cursor off, it reset. So like if I put DD here and I unfocus, so I think I set this at 10 seconds, maybe a bit high. Okay, get world time is probably not the correct variable. Yeah. We'll handle that in a second. Okay, that's working. Now let's go ahead and save and quit. And then I'm going to fix this so this is proper. So what we'll do is we'll go private int reset parent filled timer equals 0. And then what we want to do, we need another thing here, private parent field focused equals node filled is focused, and I need to rename this. So this is group parent filled group parents filled save. So we're gonna keep track of it's focused on the previous tick. So we're gonna run our code, and then on this next tick we do that. So what we want to do is we're gonna go, okay, if group filled dot is focused, or rather is not focused, and it was focused the previous tick, then we want to go reset parent filled equals 20. We'll do that. And then what we want to do is we're going to go else. So else if group filled dot is focused. Actually, no, we can just migrate this down here, and this will do the same job. And then we can get rid of our second check here. The reason I want to do it this way is I want to use -1 as a static check. And then of course we still want to make sure we're not focused. So if we're not focused, we want to make sure that that's going on. So we're going to put this up here. That way we can just do this real quick. And then we want to go another else statement here. So that way what happens is if we're not focused, and we were focused the previous tick, we set our timer to 20 ticks, or 20 update frames. We're probably going to have to adjust this because this is 20 update frames, and this is not a certain amount of whatever time. I got a better idea. So we'll keep track of how long it was unfocused. Actually, you know what? I have even a better idea than this because I'm going to reuse this probably over and over and over again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our GUI field, and we're going to tell the field to keep track of this number. And what we're going to come down and do is we're going to find wherever set focus is, and we're going to go if okay, this is actually, so if we want to set focus, but yeah, no, I don't know. So we want to go if we're not focused anymore. We want to go okay. So we'll keep track of the when we unfocus something. So that way we can come down here. We go okay if yeah, we don't need to keep track of any of this because it turns everything into a single statement is what I'm trying to do. Is then we can go okay if we're not focused and we go okay group fill dot we'll make a method for this time since focused is greater than 3 seconds. And this will be return. Why is this in component? This isn't a filled. It took me to component for whatever reason it wanted to do. I think somebody let my dog outside and forgot to pay attention. I'll be right back. Yeah, quite literally, somebody let my dog outside into the back area, and there's nobody there paying attention to her, and she wants let in. Let's see. This will be system.nanotime minus unfocus time, and this would be a long, of course. We'll probably toy around with this a lot more, but it's time to get focused. Yeah, this will work. Because what we might want to do later is we might want to go, okay, don't never update this when the player has it open, in case you want to do a long form style thing. So think like if you were filling out like a form on a website, you wouldn't want any of the fills to reset on you, in case you're editing a whole bunch of stuff at once and want to hit save all at the same time. Later when we get more settings, we'll probably migrate to a system like that, because having a set button next to each one would be a little annoying. So yeah, this will work, and I think it's the only thing we needed to fix. I have a feeling there was one other thing we wanted to do real quick. Well, there's a lot of stuff I want to do technically, but on this update. The next thing we're probably going to tackle here is the event system. And that'll be pretty easy. That'll just be a list of stuff we've received. And right now we won't save it, we'll just kind of display it. So you'll get all of your error logs, and they'll be displayed and translated and stuff. Probably do some translations here. We're getting almost done. I mean, at this point I'm going to call it done and probably go work on something else here tomorrow. I'm hoping to work on an ICBM. I want to do some tutorial videos here pretty soon before I get back into class. So I got like 2 weeks to do whatever I want. Although I need to start ordering books. Rip all the money I have. Like that little bit of money I have in my bank account, which I was so happy to have, is probably going to shrink to nothingness. I always hate that with college. It's you got to buy the books. Several of my classes are now forcing you to pay for the book digitally now. So you enroll for the class, and it's an additional fee on top of the class. Like one of my classes was like $45, so you had to pay $45 for a digital copy of the book that you can't keep, by the way. You pay $45 to access it for the 14 weeks that class is or 15 weeks that class exists. Actually, I think these classes might be 12 weeks. I think during the summer they switched to a 12-week system, which is not too bad when you think about it, because then that means my classes start here, then we go 1, 2, 3. I'm not counting that, because that would be 3 this month, and then 4. July. Wow, my classes are going to dump out probably a week before classes start again. So I think classes start again like on the 7th for the next semester. That's going to be rough. Cool thing is I only got 3 semesters left. I get my degree and I'm done. I can start paying my debt down. I don't have to take classes anymore. I can focus 100% of my time on doing this stuff for you guys. Of course, working on my games too, because the game's going to make me the money. This is pretty much still a hobby at this point. At least that's how the IRS sees it. Okay, we don't got anything in there. It didn't save our thing here. I mean, it's set. Let's hit Control Save, and it should save it, because I mean everything else saves properly. Because it's loading user properly, it's loading owner properly. It's not loading this properly. Okay, what did we mess up? Okay, so we go to our packet system. Let's check to see if our unfocus thing's a little too fast. That's instantaneous. Oh yeah, we're in nanoseconds. I want to say it's 3 times 10 to the 9. Second 10 nano. That's it. This is a way you could be sure. Yeah, it's plus e to the 10 of the 9. Okay. Believe it or not, I think you can just copy this straight into Java. Engineering notation for the win. I love engineering notation. It's awesome. Actually, that's not actually engineering notation. I forget what that is. Because engineering notation is a capital E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, whatever. It's a little fast or a little slow. One of the two. Let's try to see if it was just failing because it was unsetting too quick. It looks like it's there. Close it. Reload. It looks like it's there. Okay, save and quit. Come back into the game. It's not set. I'm not sure what's happening here. We've got a couple options. Either it's truly not setting, the fact that we're loading and saving is overriding the existing one, or it's not saving the updated data. We can test the updated data one real quick. Oh, Creeper's still in there. Why can't I can remove him, but why is he all weirded out like that? They're all broken now. Whatever. Let's add a couple users. Add. Okay. Reload. Okay, they're still there. Save and quit. Load back in. Okay, we're having a save problem. Uh, we're failing to save for a very stupid reason that I didn't pay attention to. Uh, the global access system, or rather the access profile has a save ID, but the global access profile does not have a save ID. But they should share the same ID. I gotta go make a new one for it though. I forgot. It's one of those dumb things where I designed the save system to insist you have to have a save ID, but the reality of it is that it doesn't. The save IDs are not really important. They're not used for almost anything. So we just gotta come in here. We gotta add a save ID. Um, global. Yeah, global access. What the save IDs are used for is if you were loading objects at random from a file and you didn't know what they were, you can construct them back into the proper objects by utilizing the save system. It would understand what object goes to what is supposed to be loaded as what, it would construct the objects for you, and this is very important in mods like Artalex, which have a ton of data, and you don't want to be manually loading it all yourself. It also comes a lot of handy in other things. There used to be a lot of uses for it. The region system, mod flags, permission system. There's a lot of little bitty things that come into play for the save system. There's a reason why we made it. Is we wanted to save stuff to the world file, but we didn't want to sit here and manually tell things to save and load all the time. We just wanted to go, okay, here's an iSave object. Please save me every single time the world saves, and please load me every time the world loads. Very useful. Although, in all honesty, I probably should be saving the access profiles as JSON files, which I may migrate to down the road. Because then if it's a JSON file and you need to edit a broken system, so say you made a profile and it corrupted and it couldn't load anymore, you could go, hey admin, can you go in the file real quick and check to see what's wrong? And he goes, oh yeah, you made a circular dependency mistake. And then you just go, I'll just edit these 2 lines here, and then all of a sudden it's good to go. Of course, I will probably make sure that even broken access profiles load and stuff, and if you guys ever find any issues with it, just make sure you come and talk to me and give me a bug report. I'm pretty good about fixing things. There's actually quite a few bugs I need to go fix here in a few minutes. Although we're hitting the end of the workday. About 3 is my end of my workday for me. I work from about 8 in the morning to 3. Not exactly an 8-hour shift. What is that? It's 8 to... Yeah, it's about 4 hours. That's 7. It's not too bad. My dog's trying to dig herself underneath a pile of covers. There's a metal sheet on top of it. She just knocked it into something and made this loud screechy noise. I have to move that pile of covers though. Actually, I probably could make a space over here next to my desk. Not a horrible idea. But yeah, save system should be fixed now. We don't actually use the save system to load the global profiles right now. They're manually loaded, but they'll be migrated to a save loader eventually. I just got to work on the system more. Okay, so we should be able to do this now. So we should be able to set this up to extend friendly. Just as a note, if you actually have a profile system, you're not meant to extend hostile and friendly. We're just doing this for testing. Friendly is meant to mark people that you don't want your sentry guns to kill, but don't want to have access to any of your systems. Hostile is designed to mark stuff to always be killed. Okay, it's set there. If we hit reload and open it up, it's working. Now if we hit save and quit and load back in, okay, I don't know why I keep hitting groups instinctively. It's still not set. Are we still having problems with saving and loading? We're still having problems with saving and loading. What? Okay, so our object is a global access profile. In our static, we are looking for ID to class map and there's class to ID map. So it's probably class ID map. Yeah, there's a global profile handler right there. It's permission handler, access profile. Oh yeah, I see what we did wrong. Okay, go ahead and shut this down and I'll hit it up again. I didn't type in the class name. Okay, there we go. So that'll fix that so we don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead and end this video here, and I'll be back tomorrow with more work.